Hi, I'm Dr. Eugene O'Loughlin and welcome to this lesson on problem solving techniques. In this lesson, we're going to take a look at radar charts. So our objectives for this lesson are that at the end of the lesson, you should be able to first of all define what is meant by a radar chart, then use a radar chart as a visual tool to identify gaps in performance. Follow a step-by-step procedure to draw a radar chart, and then finally interpret results from a radar chart. Radar charts are part of section 6 in our curriculum, process improvement, and in this section we have three problem solving techniques, and radar charts are the second of these three. So let's take a look at a quotation. This one comes from H. James Harrington. He once said, "Measurement is the first step that leads to control and eventually to improvement. If you can't measure something, you can't understand it. If you can't understand it, you can't control it. And if you can't control it, you can't improve it." So a lot there to take in. We're all about process improvement here, and measurement is the first step that leads to this. So that's what we're going to do in this lesson. So radar charts are essentially, it's a visualization tool. These help us to measure performance, and we can see performance gaps. And it tells us quite often where improvement is needed the most. They're also known as polar diagrams or spider diagrams or spider charts or Kvyat charts as well. So many different names for this type of diagram. So radar charts teach us that before a process can be improved, it is important to establish what the existing situation is. Radar charts can show us the gaps in performance for almost any situation. So we want to look at it for strengths and weaknesses. You can then use them in business to compare a variety of performance data such as sales figures, rates of returns, delays, breakdowns, capacity problems, queues, costs, customer complaints, almost anything. And they can be used to compare performance of individuals, teams, and the whole organization. So it's a great way to define full performance and get different perceptions. They're also useful to compare performance over a period of time. For example, you could compare monthly or annual performance data to see if there's an improvement over a period of time. And very often we use what are called key KPIs, key performance indicators. In the example here we have 7, and we line these up on the outside. So KPI of integrity, accuracy, price, consistency, innovation, quality, and speed. And you can see here that this fictitious organization is performing well on integrity, it's performing well on quality, it's performing slightly less on innovation, a little bit down on consistency, but that it's not performing well on speed, price, and accuracy. Speed and price in particular look like they're performing the worst, and these can then be targets for improvement. Now, you will know this from separate analysis of data, of course, but this is a visual that shows you this, and then over time you can compare the diagrams. So we want to, when we are looking at comparing performance over a period of time, a radar chart, it can be quite useful, quick visual to show how things changed. So this example here, I've got 6 KPIs of time, cost, quality, resources, efficiency, and reliability. So if you're starting out using these for the first time, here are 6 generic KPIs that you could use. And you can see here, now I've made this data up, you can see here that the organization on the left-hand side is performing very well on cost, time, reliability, efficiency, and resources, but is not performing well over quality. So this tells us then we've got to improve quality, and then as time passes and we make efforts to improve the quality processes, we can see here on the right hand side that quality has been extended, it has improved, it's measuring much higher. Our resources, efficiency, reliability, and time have stayed the same, but you can see here that cost has changed. It has obviously cost us a lot to improve quality, so now our cost performance is lagging behind, and that now can be targeted for improvement. So you can see here not only what has improved, but also what has not improved or has declined over a period of time. So it's a great tool for comparing performance over a period of time. So how do we draw the radar charts? And of course there will be a how-to lesson in our curriculum after this, where I will show you using Excel how to draw a radar chart. So the first thing to do is identify the categories, and as I mentioned previously, KPIs will be very, very useful here. The 5 to 7 categories are probably okay. If you've got a lot more than 7, radar charts can get very, very messy, and of course less than 5, the radar chart is kind of losing its emphasis. And whatever you do, you want to have a measurement and a scale on this. So you can see here in this fictitious one, I've got 5 categories and list them on the outside. And I've got a measure here from 0 on the inside out to 100 on the outside. So quite often percentages are used on this type of diagram. So when you come to draw the radar chart, you want to get the right people together, the right people who are performing the ratings on this. Now, if you're using things like financial measurements, they can be taken from a database of costs and so on. But you want to be able to select and define the rating categories that you're going to have. So I have 5 of them on this diagram here, and we then construct the chart. And then we rate all the performance categories, either as an individual or in a team. And you can see here that each of the categories I've got 3 identifiers, 3 ratings. So in category 1, I've got ratings of 75, probably 80 or 90 in there, and 100. Category 2, we've got different ratings are added on here. So these are all connected by, for each category, and we highlight them as needed. So at the end of this process, we can see what's performing very, very well, and we can see what's not performing. So let's say my team consists of 3 people, and myself and 2 others. So I might rate category 5 as performing very well, but my 2 team members may not rate it as high. So we can put the 3 of them down there. And then what we do is we're going to take an easy way to do this is take the average of the scores. So we can see now we can perform and place the data on the chart. So the average of the 3 scores for each category gives us a point on the chart at the edge of the darker area here. So this allows us then to identify gaps, and it teaches us to identify on the biggest gap in the most critical category. So that could be category 3 here, where there's a huge gap between actual performance and what the desired performance would be. We want to review our progress regularly over every period of time, and this gives us a nice, neat visual report card. So the diagram looks a little bit awkward here, but what we will do is in our how-to section, we'll teach you how to draw this diagram. If you want to, over a period of time, compare charts, let's take a look at an example. So we're going to look at a total advertising spending. So let's take a look at the initial chart, and then we'll compare it with a second chart. And in this one here, we can see this is about total advertising spending. Now, I've made this data up. My 5 categories for advertising are advertising on the internet, television, radio, newspaper, and magazine. And we can see here that we are spending a lot on advertising for television. We're not spending so much on newspaper advertising or magazine advertising or internet advertising, and a little bit more on radio. So I can see the 5 different categories here. So this could either be either spend or the return on our investment for spending here. But at the moment, I'm keeping the example simple and just using spending data. And then I can compare this over time. So let's say I want to increase the internet spending. So we can see in our first chart, internet spending was around €100,000. And I can see over a period of time, then we can see our internet spending has increased to €200,000. In this example, my magazine spending has stayed the same. My newspaper spending has also stayed the same. The radio advertisement has gone down, and also the television advertising has gone down. So in order to pay for the internet spend, I reduce spending on television and radio. And my 2 charts here give us a visual on where the gaps are in the different levels of performance. So this could be over a week, could be over a month, could be over a year, whatever your time is. So in our how-to section, we're going to learn how to draw these charts. Fairly straightforward. I hope you will find it. And then we give you an assignment, and these are the data that we're going to give you to create an assignment to create a fairly simple chart, which is going to show us how to compare projected and actual sales. So in the center here, I've picked the 5 most populous states in the United States. I've invented fictitious data for projected sales of a product in each of the 5 states. And then I've invented some data here to give us some actual sales. And I want to compare the actual performance with the projected performance, so I can see if states are performing as we had hoped to. More about that in the assignment after this lesson. So finally, in summary, a radar chart is a visual tool that can be used to show gaps in performance. They help us to prioritize improvement on the biggest gaps in the most critical category. Radar charts show us the differences in performance over a period of time, and we can use KPIs, key performance indicators, can be measured using a radar chart. So that's how we can use radar charts to help us in process improvement and solve problems. I hope you found this video useful.